Oh man, it's the grab bag!
For We Are Many is book 2 in the Bobbiverse series, and it continues the story pretty much right after the events of the first book. And there are some serious stuff that happens in this book. Mainly, the big bad of the series, the others, because that's all they get called. They don't get any specialty name. Become an actual threat. And of course, you have everything going on Earth and trying to get people off of Earth safely. And of course, all the trials and tribulations of setting up additional planets to save all the people who are, if they don't get them off Earth, are going to die. And um, overall, I really enjoyed this book. There was a lot of bits of humor, and some of the Bobs that get cloned really, well, they really get built up. I really like Howard, probably one of the best characters in the three books that I've read. And of course, you have Riker, who was in the first book. Uh, Claude and Jacques are the ones who get sent out to go explore Delta and Gamma Pavonis, and that's where the big battle of the book takes place. Well, I mean, Delta Pavonis, not Gamma, but um, there's a couple things that get hinted at, which I guess, they explain why there's a third book. I mean, not a third book, but a fourth book. Um, and overall, this book flows really nice. I did have some problems with the third book, which I've refinished again, but I'll do that in a separate review. So the main plot is the Bobs have discovered the others and are trying to understand them. And they just know that they simply come in and they wipe out solar systems and mine everything out of the system. They don't know where they're from yet, and they don't know how powerful they are. All they know is they are dangerous and they are out there. And they are also going off and exploring. The first Bob spends the entire book on the planet he calls Eden because he found an alien race and he has been working with them. And uh, he basically was trying to help them survive through different things that he did, and eventually gets kicked out because he's too dangerous. Because he sends a literal meteor down to wipe out an entire flock of what they call hippogriffs, which are these gigantic camouflaging monsters that can literally eat people whole. And they're very dangerous. So he wants to protect his, he calls them the Deltans. And they're these very primitive alien race that hasn't quite even reached the agricultural stage. They simply are hunter gatherers, and he's very protective of them because they are a sentient species and that were the first ones to be found. Um, and then the problems that are going on the well, Vulcan and Romulus, they spend Howard spends the book trying to help figure out how to save everybody and deal with all the different little problems that happen. You have raptors, because the planet of Vulcan has dinosaur like beings on it, completely animalistic. And he's trying to solve each one of these different problems. And there's this vine that has, you could almost say it's like poison ivy. And of course, there's other issues going on that he's dealing with. And, he's you know, Romulus doesn't have as many problems because they had gone through like a near complete extinction level event at some point recently. So there's almost very little wildlife, but on Vulcan there's tons, so there's all these different plots to deal with all of that, and it's really fun and entertaining. And of course, they find additional planets that are all over the place and dangerous and weird and have their own things going on. But then Jacques and Claude wind up going to the two Pavonis systems, and Gamma is empty. and Delta, however, has the third race that has been found. And they are meerkat-like aliens, and they are at a industrial age period of time. So they are, maybe 200 years behind us in technology, and that's when they find out that that is the next system that is going to be harvested by the others. And this is when the Bobs put up their first display. They have to try to stop them. And it does something really good. The Bobs lose. And what I mean by that is in storytelling, it's really good because if this was only going to be a trilogy, then this is where, the Empire Strikes Back. It's the darkest before the dawn. You have the Bobs have their first fight against the others and they lose. And it's just at that point they're desperate. All they can do is save 20,000 of the Pav and get them off planet because they cannot save all of them. And the others, these bug-like aliens, will harvest and eat every single living being on that planet, regardless of how smart they are. And they harvest all the metal and bring it back to their home system, which turns out to be a gigantic Dyson sphere in the construction, because these ant-like creatures, well, I guess they're more like, kind of like if you combined ants and maybe millipedes together a little bit. They are building a giant Dyson sphere because they are probably just an underground race, but they do not care about other sentient life, and they will go and wipe out anything that gets in their way. And now that the Bobs put up a fight, the others send a message telling them that the next world they're going to harvest is Earth. And that's because of how confident they are in their power and their danger. And at this point, the Bobs all begin to freak out, and that's where the second book ends. And it's great. I really enjoyed where it went with the story in book two, and the fact that it had an Empire Strikes Back kind of feel where the good guys don't win. Stuff happens. The good guys get some victories here and there throughout, but they don't win against the big bad. And you get a little bit more about the big bad, the way they think, without it being too much revealed right off the bat. And it sets up the dangers of what's going to be happening with the third book, especially because the removal of humans from Earth. Hi, Noah. Yeah. All right. No, Mama's not coming down right in a second. All right. Anyways, getting back to the review and trying to finish up. So the where was I? Can't even believe it. I lost it for a minute. Um, Ultimately, book two is a very solid sequel, and it made me very excited for the third book, which, having re-listened to it, I have a little bit more issues with book three than I did with book one or two, but those are minor, and it's really, well, I'll get into it when I review that. Anyways, catch you next time.